It's time to bust out the crystal balls and my favorite time of the year, making 7 crazy predictions for the real estate market in 2020. Stay tuned to this week's episode of Prime Properties TV. Promise you, it'll be good. Good day, Toronto. Welcome to another episode of Prime Properties TV. So glad you could join us here. The holidays are well underway and it's my favorite time of the year because it's family and food. The ironic thing is I'm skipping all these festivities because I'm still on my honeymoon. So technically I'm filming this in the future, but I'm still here, but not really. But because I love doing this video, I shot it in advance before I left for my honeymoon. So without further ado, let me bring you my 7 crazy real estate predictions for 2020. Now, if they're new to this, they're generally backed by stats or some kind of anecdotal evidence that I see or in terms of trends I see coming. Now, if you're new to the 7 crazy predictions, I'm gonna have a crystal ball meter here with 1, 2, or 3 crystal balls, which is gonna indicate how likely I think it's gonna happen, 1 being unlikely and 3 being very likely, okay? So without further ado, prediction number 1. Smash that like button and subscribe to Prime Properties TV channel. I know you'll do it. 3 crystal balls, just do it, it's gonna help a lot, okay? So all seriously, number 1. Average price point is going to hit $900,000 at some point in 2020. 2 crystal balls. Yeah, baby, we're starting off with something that sounds absolutely ludicrous, but I think is very much likely going to happen. At the time of filming this, the average price right now is $833,000. The highest yearly average we saw was 2017, which was $822,000, and we already passed that in October. So this means that the $900,000, although it sounds ridiculous, it may actually happen probably in the months of June 2020 or October 2020. Don't be shocked when you see that happen, because I'm calling right now. You saw it here first, okay? I really think this will happen because we're ending the year with so much momentum going into next year, plus there's so much pent-up demand. So when you put all of this together with the fact that the freehold market really hasn't surged back to where I think it will be in the next few years, boom, $900,000 at some point next year. Now, I'm saying $900,000 at some point in a month, not for the entire year, because I don't think that's going to happen. But that $900,000 average at some point in a month is going to be rocking and rolling. Because the freehold market hasn't even gotten there yet, and after the Fair Housing Initiative that launched in 2017, it really put a damper in everything because we were just about to do it, but then it stopped. So now we're out of that little funk for the last 2 years, and I think we're going to hit the $900,000 at some point next year. Number 2. Downtown pre-construction condo prices $1,500 a foot on average next year and $1,000 in the GTA. 2 crystal balls. Look, I honestly think downtown pre-construction prices are going to hit $1,500 next year because there's a couple projects that already launched this year that went over $1,500. This is United, 11 Yorkville, and also King Toronto. Now, these were all special projects. This one was Yorkville. The other one has direct subway access, and the other had a bougie, cool-looking architect to it. But when you take those out of the equation, stuff's been trading around $1,200 to $1,400 per foot in downtown Toronto in 2019. Now, I think we're going to hit that in the October launches, and so around this time next year, we're going to get the $1,500. The reason I'm saying this is I already know a lot of builders who are holding on to really prime pieces of land that they just didn't sell because they know they can make more money in the future. So when they launch, what do you expect to happen? They're going to increase the price because the demand's going to be there. Now, outside of Toronto, where I think we're going to be seeing $1,000 a foot, this is downtown Mississauga, Vaughan, Markham. $1,000 a foot, all in the next 2 launches. You have to remember, anything that's also remotely adjacent to some kind of transit is probably also going to be $1,000. This is subway transit or go train station. So all in all, $1,500 in downtown, $1,000 near transit. Number 3, we're going to see the first rate cut since 2015. 2 crystal balls. Look, if you guys have been following the Bank of Canada shenanigans that's been going on, everyone's been kind of worried. They're saying that they're on an island right now. But look, I'm going to call it right now. We're going to see 1 cut. The global economy is not really doing too well. And as we constantly follow the US rates, the Fed's rate, we have to keep our dollar low, which means our interest rate has to go low. So therefore, we're going to have to follow the Fed cuts that Trump is likely going to happen. Now, I don't want to get into all of the global politics or anything, but I may even think that there's going to be 2 rate cuts. So I'm calling it now. 2020, we're going to see rate cuts, which means mortgage rates are going to come down the variable side, which means that there's going to be buyer confidence, which means prices go up. So stay tuned for that. Number 4, Laneway Housing. It's going to be very popular in 2020. 2 crystal ball. Now, with the official plan being allowing people to build another dwelling, which is basically another home with like a kitchen and bathroom on existing land, expect Laneway Housing to become more and more popular. I bet you something's going to happen in this form or matter. Someone's going to design a very cool Laneway home. It's going to get featured on social media. It's going to be on BlogTO. It's going to be on Narcity, all the Toronto popular, and boom, Interest for Laneway Housing through the roof. They're gonna talk about how much the rent is, how much we're gonna make money, and it's gonna look cool, and everyone is gonna be on board and trying to do it too. The reason why I didn't give it 3 crystal balls is because the people who own the land allow you to actually build these laneway housing tend to be baby boomers who don't want intensification. So that's why I knocked it down from 3 crystal balls to 2 crystal balls. It's really about intensification because we're running out of land in Toronto and we gotta find different ways of affordable housing. Affordable housing for the people of low income and the middle class as well. Number 5, the Liberals will pass their super first-time home buyer incentives through crystal ball. Now, during Justin Trudeau's campaign when he won previously in the last few months, he promised that first-time home buyers in Toronto and parts of Vancouver, the incentive for first-time home buyers is going to hit $800,000 instead of $500,000. Given that the Liberals run most of their ridings in Ontario and Vancouver, and the fact that they are not a majority government, they're definitely going to have to enact this kind of policy really quickly before there's a vote for no confidence in them because they have a minority government. If none of that political stuff made sense, basically, if Justin Trudeau wants to stay in power and not get voted out of the Liberal government or out of Parliament, he's going to want to enact that as soon as possible because that's one of the things that he made promise to do. So he's highly, highly incentivized to make this thing happen, being the first-time home buyer incentive up to $800,000. Number 6, the resurgence of the freehold market. 3 crystal balls. It was a horrible 2017 for freehold, terrible 2018 for freehold, and only in 2019 did the freeholds in Toronto specifically start showing signs of life. Because as condo prices increase, I fully expect to see the freehold market kick back into the next level as we've been expecting. It's going to happen, promise you. 7, more pre-construction condo cancellations to come. 2 crystal balls. This is going to be one of the crappier predictions I have to make, but I fully expect a few more pre-construction cancellations to happen. The reason is back in 2016 and 2017, we sold some condos that are still kind of like in limbo right now, meaning they haven't been zoned or they haven't gotten their permit yet. And the longer they wait to get this, the more expensive it's going to be because land's getting more expensive, interest rates for carrying it, construction keeps getting expensive way fast, labor keeps getting expensive, and material gets really expensive. So when you add all that together, the profit margin that the builder would have initially sold for to predict what they made is potentially going to be much lower, or even they're going to lose money, which will result in cancellations. There were already a few low-key cancellations that didn't make it to the press at the end of 2019, and I really think that there's going to be a few more in 2020 just because these projects are in limbo. Well, that wraps up our 7 crazy predictions for the real estate market in 2020. Most of them I really do think are going to come true because that's where I think the real estate market is heading into. And it's going to be a very strong market compared to 2019. So if you are going to be making a move next year in the real estate market, make sure you contact us. Our contacts will be right here, or my contacts will be right here. Until next time, happy real estating. Now that you're done watching this one, how about this one? Oh, you know what? This one's good too. Ooh, this one's really good. You know what? Just watch the most.